Hello, students. Welcome back for our second day in our notes of primitive plants. And as we begin today's lesson, I would like to ask you a question about yesterday. After watching those videos yesterday about the Sargasso Sea, did any of you come up with a possible explanation for the mysterious disappearance of many ships over the course of history in this geographic region of our planet? If so, share them with us now. I have thought that perhaps one possible explanation for the Bermuda Triangle, which seems to have been a really big thing when I was younger. I guess there were just a lot more like conspiracy theorists back then. I don't know. But Bermuda Triangle was such a big issue when I was younger. But my idea has to do with science. My idea is that you get all of this sargassum seaweed spiraling around like a big whirlpool in a swimming pool, and it gathers to the center of this area called the Bermuda Triangle. In fact, some of the accumulations of sargassum seaweed in this region are so thick they have created floating islands where little animals can actually live on them and other things grow on these little floating islands of sargassum seaweed. Now, I take that and couple it with the information that many years ago, most boats, ships, were sailing vessels. And these sailing vessels relied on the wind and rudders to guide and steer them through the waters. Now, imagine if you were a ship and the wind was blowing you into this region of really thick sargassum seaweed. And this seaweed got stuck on your rudders. And it got stuck so much so that your boat just started going around and around and around. What do you think would eventually happen to you if there were no other ships around? You might starve to death if you were out there for a long enough period of time. You might abandon ship in madness, maybe taking your lifeboats and taking your life in your hands and trying to rescue yourself if your boat was stuck. But eventually the ship, the sailing ship, might become empty. And if you were another ship coming by and you saw an abandoned ship, you can imagine stories of ghost ships existing in the Bermuda Triangle being a real thing. Here's another possibility. Think of ships today. Ships today with propellers that propel them. Imagine your propellers are taking you through this thick, dense area of floating seaweed, and it gums up your propellers. What's going to happen? Your boat's not going to move anymore, right? You're going to get stuck in the middle of a spiraling current, in the middle of nowhere, really, in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, and it might cause your ship to even be pulled under by the muck and mire of this floating seaweed called sargassum. So I think for all of the mysteries surrounding the Bermuda Triangle, I think by and large there are probably scientific explanations as to why the mystery exists in the first place. So enough about the Bermuda Triangle, although it's fun to read about it and watch shows about it. I think most of the mysteries can be easily solved. But that's only we've only first completed the first group, the brown algae group. So let's move on today to number 2, The red algae, made up of various species of red alga. And so remember the difference between algae and alga. Alga singular, algae plural. Let's talk about it. Most red algae grow on rocks found on the bottom of a water body. Now, that word benthic there means bottom. So I'd encourage you not to ignore what's written in parentheses, but write it down as well. Benthic means bottom. So most red algae grow on benthic rocks, or rocks that are found on the bottom of a water body. And again, most of them are in marine environments, meaning saltwater environments. Now, here's an interesting piece of information. Red algae are adapted to living lower down in the water because the red pigment that makes them up helps them to absorb the small amounts of light that exist deeper in the ocean. Now think about this for a moment. How many of you have ever seen the movie Finding Nemo? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. That movie, okay? Do you remember the scene where Nemo and Dory are swimming through the ocean? Or is it Marlin? Is it Marlin and Dory that are looking for Nemo? Oh, gosh, now I don't remember. Yeah. Anyway, remember when the fish are swimming through the really deep part and it's completely black down there, completely devoid of light, and they see that fish with the glow in the dark thing in front of them, and it scares the bejeebies out of them? It scared me too the first time I saw the movie. Anyway, here's the deal. The deeper you go in the water, the less light can penetrate. It gets darker. The deeper you go, the darker it gets. In fact, at the very bottom of the ocean, it is completely pitch black. No light can penetrate very deep into the ocean waters. That's a story for another day. But for now, if you go deep enough, and if you ever become a scuba diver someday, maybe you'll go deep enough where you actually have to bring lights with you to illuminate the area. That's pretty deep. But red algae are able to survive because of this red pigment. The red pigment in the red algae enables them to extract as much light as possible. If you've seen the ocean from above, like from an airplane or a boat, and I were to ask you, well, what color is water? What color pops into your mind immediately? Did you say blue? Yeah, because water reflects a lot of the blue wavelengths of light. That's why water looks blue. It's reflecting blue light. So blue does not penetrate too deep because it's reflecting off the surface. But what color does penetrate deeper? Well, it's the red wavelengths of light. And think back again to last year when you were learning about the different wavelengths of light in the electromagnetic spectrum. Blue has a very short wavelength. Red has a longer wavelength, and it's those red wavelengths of light that are able to penetrate deeper into a water body like the ocean. And it's only those wavelengths of light that red algae is able to take advantage of. And they're red because they are taking advantage of that wavelength of light in order to make food. Because remember, algae are a type of plant. Plants depend upon photosynthesis. If they were too deep and there was no light there, well, guess what? They wouldn't be able to be photosynthetic. They die. They wouldn't be able to exist. Now, red algae, the humans use red algae too. Remember, we talked about the brown algae and kelp being edible and with sushi wraps and so forth. Well, humans use red algae also. One of the things we've already done this year, we've taken advantage of a type of red algae called auger. Auger is a red algae that, when it is dried out and pulverized and then reliquefied, is utilized in petri dishes like this one here to grow bacteria. Humans well, doctors and scientists in the medical field rely on auger tremendously to do various types of experiments. And performing experiments using this red algae has led to innumerable benefits to human beings, with the discovery of various cures for diseases and treatments for diseases, and various antibiotics, which some of you may have taken in your lives to keep you healthy and to fight off bacterial infections. Well, if you've ever taken medicine, you can be thankful to red algae. Red algae has helped you get there because we can use it in the auger used to grow bacteria to help us with various experiments. But that's in the medical field. How about something a little bit closer to home? There's another red algae called Carrageenan. Carrageenan is one of my favorite types of algae because it's used to make some yummy things. I want to challenge you today. When you are home, I want you to look at the ingredients lists on various foods. And I want you to see if you can find the word carrageenan. Carrageenan is a type of red algae. And look at the list of things this red algae is used in. Ice cream. How many of you like ice cream in addition to me? Look at the ingredients, folks. Chances are you're going to find carrageenan. Salad dressing. I like a little bit of salad dressing, like country French on my salad. Look at especially the creamy dressings. Look at the ingredients on your salad dressing and see if you can find the word carrageenan. Or better yet, chocolate milk, cake frosting, or toothpaste. All of these, check out the ingredients on them and you might find the word carrageenan. Well, what the heck is carrageenan? It's red algae, folks. It's red algae. And when I'm finished today, I'm going to have you watch this little video clip on carrageenan so that you can see the other various uses of red algae in your everyday life as well. So carrageenan, something close to our hearts, maybe closer than you might think. So I challenge you today, go through your house and see if you can find products containing carrageenan. By the way, the carrageenan that is used in these products as what is called a binding agent. It holds them together like a glue almost. Not glue, but like a glue. Helps maintain the texture and consistency of these different things, from ice cream to toothpaste. And if you eat too much ice cream and drink too much chocolate milk and too much cake frosting, you'll need more toothpaste to clean your mouth out, all of which have red algae in them. All right, so let's move on to our third and final group of multicellular algae called green algae. Now, green algae tend to be a little bit different than the other two groups of algae because most green algae live in fresh water. not saltwater or marine environments. Most green algae live in freshwater ponds. If you live in a rural area, there's probably farm ponds nearby. And have you ever noticed in the middle of summertime, some of these ponds get rather overgrown with green stuff on them? Or maybe you have a swimming pool that you don't take care of and is untreated, and after a period of time starts turning green. Well, that green coloration is due to green algae, which again tends to live in fresh water. Now, hopefully, your swimming pool or local pond doesn't develop the growth of a swamp monster to grow out of it. But many ponds or swimming pools that are not maintained, if they have too many green algae growing in them, they are experiencing what's called eutrophication. Eutrophication is a condition whereby the green algae have taken over. It has become overproductive. And as a result, that pond could die and other life forms could cease to exist because it's just sucking all of the gases and nutrients out of that water body. So it's not really necessarily a healthy thing, but it could cause a change in environment from a pond to a swamp, from a swamp to a marsh, from a marsh to a meadow, from a meadow to a forest eventually. The various steps of the natural succession of one environment to another, or one ecosystem to another. And that is a natural part of the circle of life that happens in real life here. All right, so we've got our three groups of algae: our brown algae, our red algae, and our green algae. Now, I am going to be showing you now, or I'll be linking you to, excuse me, a number of videos that I would like you to watch and take some notes on regarding the different types of algae that exist, the three main groups of algae, and you might be asked some of these questions, or asked some questions on your quiz this week from the videos that I will be sharing with you. So make sure you are watching the videos, paying attention to the videos, and jotting down what you think are interesting pieces of information regarding the videos. So for now, we're done with our notes here, with our PowerPoint notes, I should say, and we're going to transition now over to our videos. So for now, I am going to say bye-bye.